I'd like to welcome Michael Price. He is the Vice President of Business Development at Orion Groups. He's also the Market President for C-Suite for Christ, a faith-based organization that brings together business executives to foster faith-centric cultures in the workplace and support one another in integrating Christian values into their professional lives. He is also the CEO of Michael J. Price Venture. Michael is an experienced healthcare executive leader with over 20 years in industry experience, and background includes managing local hospital support, portfolio management, and program management office functions, oversight of more than 400 projects ranging from teams of 25 plus with direct reports and over 250 contractors. He has handled over 200 million in capital initiatives and has extensive experience in risk management, energy management, and governance. He previously served as Vice President, IS Client Delivery, and Senior Director at Tenet Healthcare, where he was responsible for significant IT risk and acquisition divestiture projects. Welcome, Michael.
Wow. Thank you for that introduction. I'm excited to be here with you today.
Well, let's start from the beginning to get to know you a little bit better. You spent over 20 years in the industry of healthcare space. What are some of the aha moments that sparked your initial interest and what brought you to where you are currently?
I always had this overwhelming sense to help people, to solve problems, to help within my community. Really, it was about service. And, healthcare really allowed me to do both of those, to serve my community, to serve those in need. And as I moved up the corporate ladder, I always kept that patient as my end customer. So I was always, even when I was at my top positions, it still afforded me the opportunity to be able to help my end customer, which was the patient, because I was always either directly involved in bedside patient care, or I was assisting the physicians, the nurses, or the healthcare team in some way, form or fashion. So it was always about that service.
And you've also openly shared about the health challenges you've had. And I'm curious, what are some aha moments you've had personally that, made you think about maybe what others might be going through and how you wanted to serve them?
Yeah, so we're gonna go way back. We're gonna go back to the '90s. We're gonna go back about 30 years, and in 1998, I was battling some severe depression. I was tired. My self esteem was very low. I tried to commit suicide. So I tried to end my life, but God had a different plan for me, and really took me on a journey from that moment in 1998. And I learned a lot in 1998, because after that event, I had, friends and family really surround me. I met my wife 2 months after that period in February of 1998. We've been married for 26 years now. We got two grown adult children. I got two grandchildren now. And an aha moment out of that is if I would have been successful, I would have never seen or had all of this. We wouldn't be sitting here talking right now.
So can you share with us what was the turning point? Because I think, there might be others who might have gone through similar experiences of, after a while, when you live long enough, you realize there's cycles that go up and down, right? And so you really hit quite a bottom there. And so I'm curious, what changed or what transformed you to go back on the upward trajectory?
I'll say a statement now that I didn't really know then, but I know now, and that's this. In order to be selfless, selfless meaning to be able to help others, to be able to focus on your mission at your organization you work at, you have to be selfish about your well-being. And I wasn't. I had no focus on myself. I really didn't at that moment in time. I really didn't care about how I looked, how I exercised, what I ate, none of that. And after that moment, I really started putting some more focus on myself, and taking better care of myself, really allowing myself to open up. And because I was very introverted at the time, I wouldn't let anyone in. So I started to let people in, and it really started to build my self-esteem. It started to, it was a turning point for me to be able to see that people truly cared, people truly wanted to help. And if I allowed them in to help, then it's only going to be a positive influence on my life.
It's interesting. I've talked to other people, and even myself, I've been through really low moments, and you're kind of faced with, do you just give in or do you actually say, I'm going to make it work and I'm going to survive? And I'm curious, do you feel a sense of freedom after that moment that now you can pretty much survive anything?
Oh, yeah. So yes, that is a fantastic question. So the overwhelming sense of freedom, after going through, listen, if any of your listeners are going through that right now, I'm telling you, there's hope. So don't give up, because there is a better life out there for you. So many people, and especially today, they're just surviving and they're not thriving. And once you open yourself up, and it's important that you realize you have to take the first step. No one else is going to take your first step for you. So it has to be you. And you allow yourself to be vulnerable, and allow people into your life. The overwhelming sense of freedom is just amazing, because you feel like, I'm not going to say you got to accomplish the world, but you have a sense of freedom that allows you to go out and do the things that you want to do, the things that you want to accomplish, the goals you set, the dreams that you set. So allow people in, open yourself up, make yourself vulnerable, and then the freedom is overwhelming.
Yeah, actually, it's a combination of freedom and an empowerment, isn't it? Because in one, you feel free, but the other is you feel empowered because you know that, hey, things could always get bad, but it could always be worse.
Right. And you're right. You said it just a moment ago. We go through the phases in our life, and I just happened to hit a very low moment in 98. So don't let yourself get to that point. You're so realize you're going to go through phases. You're going to have low moments. You're going to have high moments. But if you're allowing, yourself to be vulnerable, you're taking that first step, then those low moments won't be as low as they could be.
But even if you hit as low as you did, I mean, it was sad that you tried to kill yourself, but you didn't, and you stuck it out. And what advice or tips would you give to someone who maybe even hits that low, that to hang in there and to give another? Or, yeah, what tips would you give? Because you've actually been through that stage.
I would tell you, I happened to be at a conference this week, and the great Merrill Hodge was there, and he has this statement. It's a very simple statement, and he says, "Find a way." It's three words: "Find a way." And what he's talking about there is whatever battle you're facing right now, find a way to win it. For some, it's that, and that's going to be different for everybody. For some people, that's rely on your family, lean on your friends, open yourself up, make yourself vulnerable, come out of that world where you think that you're all alone and no one else is going through the same things that you're going through. I'll say this: no one will ever walk in the same shoes that you do, but there are many people out there that will have the same experiences that you have. So open yourself up, allow yourself to be vulnerable, and find a way to win that battle.
So you talked about surviving versus thriving. Tell me what you mean by that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so some people, you know, they I look at it this way. There are people that just go day to day and they wake up and whatever life brings them, and there's no plan in place. And I was the same way, 30 years ago. Now I plan my life out. And you mentioned I'm a big man of faith. So I really allow the Lord to lead and guide me, and I put my faith in him. But it doesn't mean that I don't plan. I have dreams, I have goals set, and I plan those out 1, 3, 5, 7, 10 year goals, and then I track those goals to see where I'm at in life, because life will bring you, these ebbs and flows, and you'll take exits where you didn't plan to take exits. But but if you're only going just day to day and let's just see what life brings me, you're only surviving. You're not thriving. So take that first step, realize that you're the only one that can do it. Allow people into your life, allow yourself to be vulnerable, make those plans. You've got dreams. We all have dreams. So set goals to get to those dreams and try to accomplish. You may not ever reach or attain the dreams that you have, but I'm telling you, if you set goals and you have a plan for it, you're going to get way closer than if you don't.
That is an important point. I think people should have a destination, right? And you may not get it the first time, the second time, even the third time, but you should be able to gauge how close you're getting. And the key is once you make a destination a focus of your attention, and it also helps you focus your decisions, right? Because then you make decisions to get to that target. And even if you don't make it the first time, the second time, third time, but if you're getting closer and closer, then that's the key, right?
That's a great point right there. What are your decisions based off right now? And if you don't have goals, just like you mentioned, you don't have dreams, then your decisions, I honestly don't know where they're coming from. They have to be based off something. They have to be decisions that you're looking forward and not always looking back.
Well, again, those are the kind of things that can lead to feeling lost and depressed as well, right? So again, you may not, that doesn't mean that you can't change your goals or your dreams. I mean, they can evolve and stuff. But at any given point, if you have something, then you have a sense of mission and purpose to do something that you really are passionate about.
Yeah, and everyone has a purpose. There's not a single person in this world that doesn't have a purpose. You just need to understand and find what that purpose is and then go out and start living it.
So on the show, we talk a lot about conversations and how they can unlock insights. I'm curious, what conversations did you have around that time that really became pivotal in the way you thought and started doing things?
So there's a couple of key conversations there I would bring up. The first one is on that day in February 1998, I was alone in my house and my parents showed up. Okay, my parents just showed up to my house, and it took me 30 years to ask my parents why they showed up. And my dad said my mom had an overwhelming sense that she needed to come and see me. So she showed up at that very moment in time. Um, so when they showed up, I realized on that day, I already knew this, but I realized how much they loved me. And so we started that allowed me to start opening up more. That was the first key. The second one was, I spent a few days in the hospital, and after that, um, I had to foresee, some professionals. I saw a counselor, and that really began to just open up my mind and allow me to talk about things that I never would have talked about and never had talked about. So and then it really put me on a track and on a journey that created this vulnerableness, if that's a word. I don't know if it is, this vulnerableness in me that allows me to be here with you today having this conversation, because I will tell you what, I am an open book these days. I make myself very vulnerable. I talk about things that I would have never talked about. But it's that moment in time 30 years ago that allowed me to go on this journey that I'm still on today and that I will continue on for years to come. That led me into healthcare, that really opened up my mind to. I mentioned I always had that sense of wanting to serve, but I just could never get to it. But it's these conversations that allowed me to open up to be able to do the things that I'm doing today. And if you never allow yourself to do that, it's really going to stunt and halt the dreams that you have, the goals that you have, and being able to thrive in this life.
You talk about vulnerability. I'm curious, what three surprising benefits have you seen to become more vulnerable?
This is one. This conversation that we're having, just opening up and talking about it. Because I really didn't share that much about this time I had in 1998 with a lot of people, but as the years have gone, I mean, this year, I mean, I've become an open book. I'm writing a book about it. I go into a lot of different shows to talk about this, to be able to help people. Anyone I come in contact with, I tell you what, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, I wouldn't just meet someone in the street and say, you know what, these are some of the struggles I've had, and these are some of the things that I've been through. And what I have found is there are people going through the same struggles that are like, wow, this happened to me this many years ago, or I'm going through some similar struggles now. And it allows me to give them some advice. It allows me to share contact information so that if they ever need to reach out to me, they can do that. And so that's one. The second one is you'll find this one funny. As a man, we don't look at our well-being and our health as much as our ladies do, or our significant others do. And so I have facials now, and it really it makes me feel really good, you know.
Well, I think
And
it's good. There's nothing left. I
yeah,
think it's great.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I do things that I would have never done prior to that time, that really help my well-being, help my health, make me feel good inside, regardless of what other people think. So that's the second one, and it's really allowed me to have much better relationships um, with my friends, and it's important that I ensure at all times I have 5 people that I truly can trust, that I'm accountable to, that can ask me any question anytime they want. When I'm having struggles, I can reach out to them, have a conversation, and I know they're going to give me sound advice. They're going to give me advice that I need, not necessarily advice that I want. So those are really some of the 3 key things.
Okay. So I think you're also hinting upon resilience, and I'm curious, what factors or steps or rituals do you do to have this resilience or build up resilience?
So it's how I start my day every day. Um, so every day I'm up around 5 or 5:30, and I don't pick this up. I'll leave this alone for just a moment, because the moment you pick that up, your day is gone. You're going to start seeing what problems are out there, what things you have to resolve, who's looking for you, meetings you have in the day. So don't start your day with the phone or any type of technology. I start my day with reading. I start my day with prayer. I start my day with my wife, and it really creates a positive environment for the day. So by the time I do pick up this technology and I start reading emails, it's not the first thing I'm encountering each day. So I want the first things that enter my mind, the first things that enter my body, the first things I'm looking at, the first person I'm talking about, to really be a positive influence on my life for the day. So that's how I start my day every day. And normally I will go out and I will do my walks outside, out amongst nature. Again, it's very positive. It's me putting my well-being first. It's really me being selfish, because by the time 8 o'clock rolls around, I can be more selfless for the people that need me to in their lives.
So, having talked about your personal struggles and how you've built up resilience and came from a very low point, I'm curious, how does that translated now into your professional life in terms of healthcare and maybe the way you were thinking or approaching healthcare for others?
Yeah, so it really puts things in perspective, because most people, when they come into I started my career in the ER. So most people that come into the ER, most people in the hospital coming for surgery, they're at a very low point in their life. And it allows me to have some compassion for them. It allows me to understand where they're at, and really understand that, like you mentioned earlier, people go through different phases in their life. And so I truly am someone who entered healthcare because I truly love people, have a passion to help people. And because of the struggles I've been through, we haven't even talked about the blindness, the heart attacks, my most recent diagnosis with MS, that had just continues to allow me to have that compassion for people and truly meet them right where they're at. Um, and it allows me to pour out more onto them, and all of what I do in my life, the way I start my day, me being selfish about my well-being and my health, allows me to have more compassion for people, allows me to meet them right where they're at, and really use my experiences in my life to be able to help people in a way that I never would have been able to in the past.
So let's talk about how has the blindness and your recent diagnosis of MS changed you and the way you think and your approach to things moving forward?
It's made me more intentional about what I do. So these days, I don't get involved in anything. And as you did the introduction, people will say, "Probably, wow, you're a lot involved in a lot of stuff." Well, I'm involved in more than what you mentioned, but I'm very intentional about the things I get involved in, and I will only get involved in anything that I can add value to. if I can't have value once I've done a needs assessment or had conversations with potential partners or businesses, then I will simply move on because it's not for me. So, the blindness, and so I went blind in one eye a few years ago, for about a month. And I've regained about 50% of that sight in that one eye, and it really gave me a lot of perspective. At the moment when it happened, it caused me to pause. It caused me to stop doing everything I was doing and just realize that I'm not in control. Because there's periods in my life, and those phases in my life, there were times where I thought I was in complete control, and I'm not. I never am. So it caused me to pause. And then in 21 and 22, I had back-to-back heart attacks. In 21, I knew that I was the reason. It was how I was eating. I wasn't exercising. I was traveling every week. There was a lot of stress in my life. And so I had that first heart attack. But on that first heart attack, I had the heart attack on a Saturday, stints on a Sunday, and I went back to work on a Monday. It's terrible, terrible idea. And I would never, never advise anyone to do that. But 1 year later, on Labor Day in 2022, I had my second heart attack. And this is where, talk about conversations, this is where a pivotal conversation in my life came in. So my cardiologist walks in and looks at me and says, Michael, I had no idea this was coming. There were no signs. There were no symptoms. When we placed your stents a year ago, we didn't see any signs that would lead us to believe that you would have a second heart attack. So what that told me was the way that I was approaching life, I had not changed from the previous year. I hadn't made the changes I needed to. And I will tell you, just to be completely honest, after that first one, I said, I got rid of red meat. I don't eat meat anymore. So why did I have a second heart attack? It's because my lifestyle didn't change. I wasn't being selfish about my well-being, about my health, about my relationships. It's all about mind, body, spirit relationships. And I wasn't focusing on them. I took 6 weeks off of work, and I really, really began to focus on my well-being, on my relationships. We went vegan, and we started exercising. I bought a Peloton. I bought an Apple Watch. I mean, I really, really started focusing on what I needed to do, never to be in that cath lab ever again, because I never want to go in that room again. So that really, really drives me right now to focus on what's important and really only getting involved in what I can add value to.
So how's your health now?
So health is great now. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis last year. And initially, there's a lot of pain that comes with that. There's a lot of memory issues and balance issues and different things. But because I had started in 2022 really focusing on my well-being, I just ramped that up. I elevated what I was doing. We eliminated our processed foods. We exercised more, constantly moving every day, and doing something to make sure my body's constantly in movement. We've really started holistic medicine. We do cryotherapy. We do IV infusions, compression therapies. We have the patches that we use. I mean, I have bi-yearly infusions I have to get for my MS. And I mean, so it really has made me focus, to elevate that focus, to elevate that intentionality, and make sure that I'm doing the things I need to take care of myself, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to do all of these things that you mentioned at the beginning of the show.
So how much of this, I'm curious, would you say is because of what you changed physically versus also what you changed mentally?
Mindset is key. I'm big on mindset. And when I talk about the 4 pillars of well-being, I always talk about mind first, because that's the most important thing. Are you trying to control your mind? What are you allowing to come into your mind? What's your environment around you? What are your relationships like? All of those interfere and impact your mindset. So mind is key. And so I will say that I caused a lot of my health concerns or health issues by not focusing on my mind and my body. And I've also, on the flip side of that, I'm where I'm at now because I am focusing on my mind and my body.
So how has this changed you in terms of how you lead others?
Oh, wow. That is a fantastic question. So I'm a servant leader by nature. But I always thought that a servant leader meant that I had to constantly be in there and almost have a sense of micromanaging. I've since learned that servant leadership is that I make sure that I am training up my leadership teams the way that I want them to be able to perform. I make sure they understand the why behind what they're doing. And then I hold them accountable to do the things that they need to do instead of me telling them what I need done and then showing them how to do it and the way I want it done. I train them, I give them the why, and then I hold them accountable for them to be able to get the work done that needs to be done. So it's changed my perspective on what a servant leader really is. And I no longer take on all the stress or no longer take on all the work myself to do it. I hold others accountable to do it now.
So I'm curious, where do you see yourself focusing on next in terms of improving yourself?
I really am now focusing on leaders, specifically healthcare leaders, but some of the people I coach now are not specifically in healthcare, but really helping people focus on being selfish about their well-being so they can be selfless. Because most of the people I coach, most of the people I come encounter to, they are servant leaders. They're focused on the mission of the organization. They're focused on their team and how their team performs and performing at a high level. But most of them by doing that, they take the focus off of themselves and their cup runs empty. And you know as well as I do, if you've got an empty cup, there's nothing coming out of there. You're not focused. You can't help your team. You really are a detriment to your team. So I help them focus on their well-being, the things that they need to do, really helping them avoid some of the same pitfalls that I went through. By doing that, that allows me to keep the focus on the things that I need to do as well as I focus on other leaders out in the marketplace.
Having been through what you've been through and the knowledge and experience you have now, what would you tell a 20-year-old younger Michael Price? What are the three things you would say you should definitely know or do or keep in mind?
I would first tell them to own it. And what I mean by that is don't think someone else is going to come in and own the things that you're responsible for, whether that's professional or personal, whether that's your marriage, your parenting, your job. You need to own it and take responsibility for that. The second one, and this came from a great mentor of mine, and it's lean into discomfort. Leadership is hard. But lean into that discomfort, take responsibility for that discomfort. But I will give you this advice. Before you attempt to do that, you must have your accountability partners in place because they're the ones that you're going to turn to when things get tough, when you need advice, when you need to seek someone that's going to speak truth to you. So make sure you have those accountability partners in place before you attempt to do that. And then the last thing I'll tell you is that you're the only one that can hear what your body's telling you. Nobody else can. Your body gives us signs. Your body will tell you things that are going on to get you to stop sometimes, to get you to pause, to get you to listen. And when you don't, you get things like blindness, depression, heart attacks, things happen in your body that you can help avoid.
You said lean into hardship and also about having accountability people. I'm curious. Explain that to me and maybe give us an example. And also, how do you gauge that you have someone really good as a good accountable person for you?
To be a leader, you don't have to have a title. So when I'm gauging my leadership team and I'm mentoring people, I will look for people that speak up. I will look for people that want to jump in and help when there's problems to be solved. Not just someone from a leadership team. That's expected from them. I want to look for that person that doesn't have that title, that doesn't necessarily have that responsibility, but has a desire and a passion to get in there. And then I will reach out to them and then I'll bring them in and I'll mentor them myself or I'll find someone for them to be mentored because, we want to take advantage of that, and so many times these people get overlooked because they don't have a specific title or they don't have a specific degree. And those are really the people I look for. And when things get difficult, you don't want to turn and walk away from it. You want to face it head on. Really good friend of mine, is a business coach of mine. He will tell you, He went to Howard University. He's very well known, played in the NFL, and he will tell you that he loves that the fact that he went to Howard. He loves the fact that he's a bison because bison are the only animal that when a storm's approaching, they will turn and they will face it head on and walk into the storm. So that's what he does. So don't walk away from it. Face it head on and walk right into it. But some of the things we've talked about, you must have in place. When you lean into that discomfort, you lean into that hardship, you need to have those accountability partners. And here's a good example. So I work for a large healthcare system. We had, at one point in time, we had 27 hospitals that went down. And when I say went down, that means they could not chart on a single patient. And so it required me, I live in North Carolina. I work in Dallas at the time. It required me in an hour's notice to jump on a plane, pull a team together, get people spread out all over the country and get into those hospitals and get the issues resolved and get them back online so they can care for the patients that, of course, are always our end customer. And in order to do that, you really have to face it with no fear because you've got to leave your family. And I was gone for 2 weeks. You got to leave your family. You don't know when you're coming back. You got to call people. And at the time it was on a Saturday and say, listen, I need you to leave and I need you to go to California. I need you to go to Florida. I need you to go to Boston, wherever the place was. So you got to be able to have those difficult conversations with people, and knowing that you're asking them to leave their family. You don't know how long. So those are some of the types of things. If you're a leader, you're going to have those hardships come. You're going to have that discomfort come, but walk into and face that storm, and when you come out on the other end, you're going to be such a stronger leader than you were if you'd have turned around and not went in.
So I'm curious, what areas do you want to focus in the future, and what interests you the most now?
So I'm writing a book. It's called Project Self. And again, this is about burnout because I went through really 3 major burnout phases in my career. So I focus on my book. I focus on coaching, on leadership coaching. And the last thing that I'm really excited about, you mentioned I was named the market president for C-Suite for Christ here in Charlotte. So I'm working with a lot of business leaders. We do a monthly event where we bring in keynote speakers from all over the country. And it's really just a time for like-minded believers in Christ to come together that are running businesses, that own businesses, and really just a time to be refreshed and get refocused. So we help them through that. So really excited about that. And then lastly, I do a lot of work with veterans. So I've pulled together lots of different organizations, and we help veterans transition from military to civilian. We help veterans find jobs. We help them find housing. We help them from a social aspect, really as much as we can. So those are really some of the key areas that I'm focusing on right now.
If you could have lunch or dinner with anyone in your industry, who would it be, and what would you want to discuss with them?
I've already done it. So I've got 2 great mentors. They're very well known in my industry. They were 2 mentors of mine. It's amazing that I had these 2 mentors that I had. I had the ability really and they poured into my life, and they still do today, even though I don't work with them, even though, I'm in the industry consulting. One's retired, one's close to retirement. They still call me often to see how I'm doing. And they really, as both of them knew me as I went through some of my struggles, and they were one of the first ones to reach out. They were one of the first ones to help me through the battles. When I took 6 weeks off from work, I didn't think that as an executive, I could take 6 weeks off of work. But one of these mentors said, I got you. Don't worry about it. Go take care of yourself. And they were hard on me. They're the ones that taught me how to lean into discomfort, lean into this hardship. But they were also some of the same people I could rely on as it got harder and harder. So this is what I would say for people who are in specific industries and they want to have, say, lunch with a specific person. Take that first step and reach out. You will be shocked that the people that will say, yes, I will come have lunch with you. Yes, I will, help mentor you. Yes, we'll spend some time together. Because nowadays I reach out to a lot of people, and man, a lot of people that people may think, well, how did you have lunch or dinner with them? It's because I took the first step. I reached out, and people really want to help. They really do. Most people have a passion to help others, especially those that have quote unquote made it to the top of their industry. They want to show other people because they don't want to be the only one that ever makes it there. They want to help others.
I think that's a really important point. A lot of people don't realize is that if you reach out and you put somebody in their helper role, more times than not, they're going to want to help you.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. But I think you're right. You just have to make that first step.
Yep. That's the key. No one else is going to take that first step for you.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you very much, Michael, for this great conversation and sharing your personal stories and being vulnerable and, helping us learn from what you've learned. It's been very insightful, and I thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Great conversation. Appreciate it.
Getting to AHA was brought to you by iResearch. To find out more about us, head to iResearch.com and make sure to search for Getting to AHA in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else podcasts are found. And don't forget to click follow to ensure you don't miss any future episodes. Thank you for listening.